been in the Daily Mail in the UK, you've been on Bloomberg internationally, so
they're talking about COVID, and
your story is getting out there, which is encouraging. But what
the
is
COVID
the story,
jab and visor jab.
Maybe if you start with a bit of a timeline, just take us back a few years.
Well, I guess we can start at the beginning. Back when life was normal. For me, before my situation I'm in now, I was a healthy mother of 2 young kids and a preschool teacher. My kids were 6 and 8 at the time, and everything I did was for them. I took them to soccer practice, took them to, gymnastics class, and helped out at their schools, and made sure that they, had someone there to comfort them if they scraped their knee. And my world and my husband's world revolved around our kids, just like a typical young family. I was healthy and, did rock climbing and skiing and snowboarding. And 3 weeks before my life changed, I hiked a local mountain here. It's called Mount Timpanogos, and it usually takes 9.5 hours on average to do. And I did it in 7 hours. Like, it was no problem. So,
wow.
Yeah, so I was in good shape, and so when the pandemic hit, I did all of the things that that the science and the media was telling me to do. I did the social distancing. I made sure that my kids were wearing masks at school, and we live in a place where people didn't like wearing masks. And
this was how it appeared we were going to get out of the pandemic at that time.
Yeah.
What happened when you got the shot, Brianne?
My shot, it's my reaction. It started right away. It started within an hour of my injection, and it started with tingling down the same arm as my injection.
Wow.
And I thought it was strange because it's a very foreign
These are
sensation.
side effects that some people get when they get the jab.
On my arm for hours, right? It's that painful, sharp pulling sensation that's a little bit electrical and numb at the same time. That's what it felt like. And I thought it was odd. Later that night, my vision had become blurred and double. And then that night, I had a typical vaccine response with the fever and everything else. And I was like, oh, I definitely did not get a placebo. It was very obvious with that reaction. And then when I got up to get ready for work the next day, my left leg was slumped, and I was always walking into the left doorways. For some reason, it was always to the left. I didn't have dropped foot. It was more like my entire leg was sagging. So that day at school, my cute little preschoolers, I remember telling them, oh, your little voices are so loud today. But it really wasn't them getting louder. It was my sensitivity to sound ramping up as the day progressed. And by the end of the class period, I had the lights turned off in the classroom, and I had the kids parked in front of the learning channel in front of the TV, and I was just holed up in the corner waiting for the parents to come get them. So that was the last day that I taught. And then over the next 2.5 weeks, the symptoms just kept piling on. Tachycardia, bradycardia, limb weakness. I lost control of my bladder.
Wow.
I had this severe, that pins and needles moved from the one arm through my chest over to the other arm, and then it moved from my head all the way down to my toes, and then it just turned into this nightmarish electrical surge over and over through my body all the time. It was so bad that I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. The only thing I could do was remind myself to breathe. And from then on, it was just kind of like this, I mean, not to be dramatic, but it was just unrelenting torture. And it's still there to this day. All those symptoms are still there, other than the sensitivity to light and sound are gone now. Everything else is still there. I've just figured out how to manage the symptoms to bring the severity down enough so I can think, I can eat, I can have conversations. So
you've got this constant sensation all over the surface of your body all the time.
Yeah, it's actually, it feels like it's inside. It moves with my heartbeat. So it moves in and out from my heart all the time. It's the most foreign and unnatural sensation, that I've ever experienced in my life. And it's just insane that I am plagued with it every moment of every day for the rest of my life.
Wow, that's so sad.
Yeah, it's not fun. And the other people that I know that have been injured in a similar
this lady
way
here's talking
from
about side
AstraZeneca,
effects that some people get from the COVID
pain,
and the visor jab.
I know exactly what that's like, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
So this is actually a constant pain. It's not just the discomfort, it's actually painful.
Yeah. It's painful. It's a prickling, stinging, pulling sensation, and it feels like it's teeny tiny nails moving in my veins. Comes from the heart, moves out.
Okay, guys, this is a lady in the United States talking about the COVID jab or the visor jab, that what the side effects did to her. Not everyone gets these side effects, thank God for that. It's still, look, the way I see it, we didn't do enough research before we started handing it out and getting everyone to get the jab. Unfortunately, if you're one of the unlucky ones that have got these side effects to this jab and you've got all these health issues now, my heart goes out to you. And all I can say is never give up and fight it all away. That's all I can say. But I can say the government is responsible for this because the government has rolled it out and told everyone, get the jab, and they didn't do enough research on it. So some people, unfortunately, are paying the side effects for the rest of their life. As this lady here says, she's got ongoing issues for the rest of her life, which is pretty sad. She can't lead a normal life now.
For even 5 minutes for months while this was going on. And it's not like I was pacing around, like telling people I was going to do it.
She's only young too.
But because of his training, he knew the signs and what to watch for. And as soon as he saw it, he had contacted a therapist and was like, what do I do? And so when he would go to the store or if he needed to go into work, he had someone come in and sit with me in the dark. So
you just felt you had to be out of this constant...
Yeah, I just needed an escape, and it really breaks my heart because I didn't talk about it at all for a long time, right? Because it's embarrassing, right? Because nobody wants to feel like they're that weak that they can be brought to their knees, to the point where, you know what I mean?
Anyone can.
Yeah, and it's...
The level of suffering is terrifying.
Yeah, but what finally got me to open up was... a really good friend of mine who's dealing with near identical symptoms from Pfizer, she ended her life, and that was in May of 2021, and that was...
What sort of reception did you get from the doctors you reported this to?
Well, they all wanted to know what the drug company had to say about it, because they figured the drug company would know what to do about it. That was the first thing they all asked. Well, what does the drug company say?
This was outside of the doctor's experience. I mean, I've never heard of anything as terrible as this.
Yeah.
And he's a doctor, this guy.
It's interesting because there were a
with
couple
the headphones
of doctors
on, he's
looking
a
back
doctor,
through my medical notes,
so he should know.
That knew that this was a neurological complication to a vaccine. So they must have seen this type of reaction previously.
I mean, just listening to what you've said, to me it's obviously a severe neuronal inflammation that's being described. I mean, that is... clinically, that seems fairly obvious.